very warm welcome. I am Gushin Galan and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We begin with Indonesia. A ferry carrying 65 people from Java to Bali sank in the Bali Strait. 4 people died and dozens remain missing, while 23 were rescued. Authorities said the vessel sank about 25 minutes after departure amid bad weather. Rescue boats battled high waves through the night to locate survivors. At least 30 are still missing. An encounter broke out between terrorists and security forces in the Chatru area of Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district. The gun battle ensued after security forces launched a search operation based on the intelligence input over the presence of terrorists in the area. According to reports, at least 3 terrorists believed to be linked with Pakistan-based Jaish-E-Mohammed are trapped in the cordoned area. Security has been beefed up in Jammu and Kashmir as the annual Amarnath Yatra is underway. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Ghanaian President John Mahama during his 5-nation tour. He was conferred with the officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana during his visit. Prime Minister Modi met the Indian diaspora in a crew. India and Ghana signed 4 agreements to expand ties during Prime Minister Modi's visit to the country. In Chicago, at least 3 people died in a shooting incident outside a nightclub. The mass shooting wounded at least 16, according to authorities. As per reports, the incident happened when people were leaving the nightclub after an album release party for rapper Mellow Bucks. US President Donald Trump has announced a 20% tariff on many Vietnamese imports. This is lower than 46% rate initially proposed in April. Goods transshipped through Vietnam from third countries will face a 40% duty now. Trump said Vietnam may import US goods at zero tariff, though details remain unclear. The move comes just days before a July 9 deadline to raise tariffs on most imports. In Ukraine's Odessa, at least 5 people were injured in overnight attack, including 2 children in Russian drone assault. Ukraine stated that a multi-story building was completely damaged, 6 apartments destroyed and at least 36 partially damaged. 2 children were hospitalized due to smoke inhalation. There is no comment yet from Moscow on the strike. Russian President Vladimir Putin and French President Emmanuel Macron held a 2-hour phone call to discuss the Iran-Israel conflict and the war in Ukraine. This is their first since 2022. Macron called for a ceasefire in Ukraine and urged peace talks to resolve the conflict. The Kremlin said Putin defended Iran's right to peaceful nuclear development, while Macron stressed the need for Iran to cooperate fully with the UN nuclear watchdog. In Thailand, 14 new ministers in the cabinet have been sworn in by the country's king. Suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra took over her new role as Culture Minister. Deputy Prime Minister Phumtham has been appointed caretaker, leader and interior minister. The reshuffle follows ethics scandal and court suspension of Shinawatra from the Prime Minister's post. China's first homegrown aircraft carrier, the Shandong, arrived in Hong Kong. It is leading a naval fleet of the People's Liberation Army. The fleet includes 2 missile destroyers and Yongcheng missile frigate. The vessel sailed through the East Lama Channel and will be open to public visits this weekend. This marks only the second time a Chinese aircraft carrier fleet has visited Hong Kong, the first being in Beijing. 3 Indian nationals in Mali were abducted by Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists. Heavily armed attackers launched a coordinated assault on a cement factory in western Mali. As per reports, after storming the factory, the attackers took the workers hostage. India condemned the incident and called it a deplorable act of violence. On to climate news now. Greece battled another fierce wildfire, this time on eastern parts of Crete Island. The fires continued to burn on Wednesday after breaking out on Tuesday afternoon. Flames spread rapidly, driven by strong winds. Over 150 firefighters tried to control the blaze. People were evacuated from eastern Crete as some homes were damaged. No injuries were reported as of Wednesday night. According to reports, Greece often faces such fires during summers, but climate change has made them worse. In Spain, 2 people were killed in a wildfire in central Catalonia on Wednesday. The blaze broke out amid a heatwave sweeping across Spain and Europe. Around 6,500 hectares of land has burnt in a rural part of Catalonia. According to the weather department, the region faced extreme temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. Local officials expressed condolences to the victims' families. Heavy rain and severe winds battered Sydney and other parts of New South Wales on Wednesday. A coastal low known as bomb cyclone caused the storm. Residential areas and streets were flooded by torrential rain. The Bureau of Meteorology issued warnings for damaging winds and heavy rainfall. Emergency crews responded to over 1,000 weather-related incidents in the last 24 hours. In China, red alerts were issued today in northern and western parts after days of heavy plum rainfalls. The rain triggered deadly floods and landslides across multiple regions this week. On Wednesday, 5 people died in central China after a river burst its banks. 2 more were killed in a landslide in the west, and over 1,000 people were evacuated from central China. Flights and trains were disrupted in Beijing late Wednesday night. In India, landslides and flash floods continued for 4th straight day. In the northern state of Himachal Pradesh, the death toll rose to 13, with 29 still missing after cloudbursts. Over 240 roads and hundreds of water supply lines were blocked across the state. In the neighbouring state of Uttarakhand, 40 pilgrims were rescued after a landslide blocked a route to Kedarnath temple. Major highways to other pilgrimage sites remain closed due to fresh landslides. On to business and tech news now. Asian shares edged higher earlier today as investors braced for a key US jobs report and watched for movement on President Trump's tax and spending bill. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index rose 0.2%, while China's blue chips also ticked up slightly, but Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell 0.6%. Wall Street had set new record highs overnight, fueled by Trump's trade deal with Vietnam and growing hopes for more agreements ahead. Meanwhile, the dollar was wobbling earlier today after a trade deal between the US and Vietnam sparked optimism ahead of the July 9th tariff deadline. Investors were eyeing the US payrolls data as expectations rose for a possible Fed rate cut, with the dollar index hovering near 3.5-year lows. The US has cleared the way to resume ethane exports to China after revoking license restrictions imposed just weeks ago, in a move seen as a progress towards a trade truce with Beijing. Ethane shipments had stalled last month, with exports dropping from 257,000 barrels per day as several US vessels remained stranded along the Gulf Coast. Tesla posted a 13.5% drop in second quarter deliveries, marking a second straight quarterly decline and rising concerns over another year of shrinking sales. The company delivered just over 384,000 vehicles, falling short of market expectations despite a partial recovery in China. Analysts warned that political controversies, aging models and uncertainty over EV incentives under Trump's tax bill could make it hard for Tesla to reach its full-year target. General Dynamics Electric Boat received $1.85 billion contract modification for new Virginia-class submarines for the U.S. Navy. The project is expected to be completed by September 2035. The announcement came at a time when the submarines were already years behind schedule due to labor shortages and supply chain issues. Punch Global officially closed its $34 billion merger with Vieterra, creating a new global giant in crop trading and processing set to challenge industry leaders ADM and Cargill. The deal came after 2 years of regulatory reviews and followed final approval last month from China's market regulator, clearing the last hurdle for completion. Netflix reportedly held talks with Spotify to collaborate on live music events and concert series as part of its live television push. The streaming giant has also explored celebrity interviews and fast turnaround documentaries to boost ad revenue and attract new subscribers. Microsoft said it will lay off about 9,000 employees, impacting less than 4% of its global workforce, as it looked to cut costs amid surging investments in an artificial intelligence infrastructure. The cuts followed earlier rounds in May and June, reportedly bringing total layoffs this year to over 15,000. US chip software maker Synopsys and Cadence said they had received notices to lift export restrictions to China after both countries settled a dispute over rare earth exports. The companies began restoring access for Chinese customers just weeks after their technology was blocked under US trade curbs targeting electronic design automation software. China's Xiaomi said it would only consider selling cars outside China from 2027 as it was focusing on meeting strong domestic demand for its SU7 sedan and newly launched YU7 SUV. The SU7 had outsold Tesla's Model 3 in China since December, while the YU7 received heavy orders within hours of its release, prompting a wait time of over a year for some buyers. Moving to sports, we begin with football. Liverpool and Portugal forward Diogo Jota has died in a car crash in Spain, just 10 days after his wedding. Spanish police confirmed his demise along with his brother Andre Philippe as their vehicle veered off a motorway in the Zamora province. In a statement, Liverpool called it an unimaginable loss, adding that the club staff and fans are devastated by this tragic passing. The 28-year-old helped Liverpool win the Premier League last season and also won the FA Cup and League Cup with the Merseyside outfit. He also made 49 appearances for both Portugal, twice winning the Nations League. Norway down hosts Switzerland in their opening fixture of Women's Euro 2025. The visitors came from behind to win 2-1 in a tough encounter to move on top of their Group A. Ada Hegerberg's close-range header and Julia Sturley's own goal both in the second half sealed the game for Norway. In tennis, the series of upsets at the Wimbledon continue. Former finalist and women's world number 5 Jasmine Paolini was the latest one to face an upset. The Italian was beaten by Russian world number 62 Kamila Rakimova 4-6, 6-4, 6-4. In men's world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz ended Oliver Tarway's Wimbledon adventure. The recently crowned French Open champion ousted the British amateur in straight sets to reach the third round, even as a record-breaking number of top seeds crashed out of Wimbledon, and Alcaraz and women's world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka have avoided second-round shocks. In the men's double at Wimbledon, India's Yuki Bhamri entered the second round along with his American partner Robert Galloway. The Indo-American pair beat their French Monegasque rivals 7-6, 6-4 in a first-round match that lasted an hour and 49 minutes. In badminton, it was a day of mixed results for the Indian contingent at the Canada Open. In the opening round, star shuttler Kidambi Srikanth got better of the countryman Priyanshu Rajawat 18-21, 21-19, 21-14. At the same time, the recently crowned US Open champion Ayush Shetty crashed out of the tournament. Shetty also lost to fellow countryman Sankar Subramaniam in the straight sets. In cricket, in the ongoing second test of the 5-match England series, skipper Shubman Gill led from the front with a second 100 in as many matches as India captain. Powered by Gill's 114 not out, India scored 310 runs after losing 5 wickets at stumps on the first day of the second test. Yashasvi Jaiswal contributed with the 87-run innings. Bangladesh suffered a stunning batting collapse in Colombo as Sri Lanka snatched a 77-run victory in the first ODI of the 3-match series. Chasing a modest 245, the visitors looked to be cruising at 100 for 1 before they lost 7 wickets for just 5 runs in the space of 26 balls. Sri Lankans bowled out Bangladesh for 167. Australian star Steve Smith will return for Australia's second test against the West Indies starting today. Captain Pat Cummins said Smith has recovered from a dislocated finger and will now replace Josh Inglis in the Aussie squad. Smith hurt his finger while fielding in the slips during the World Test Championship final at Lord's 3 weeks ago. And finally, in Formula One, Mercedes driver George Russell heads into his home British Grand Prix. Russell will enter the arena amid reports that his rival Max Verstappen has accepted a Mercedes offer to replace him next year. And finally, in entertainment news, rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will remain behind bars after a judge ruled he could pose a danger if released. After a lengthy trial, Combs was found guilty on 2 counts of transporting women for prostitution, but cleared of more serious charges, including sex trafficking. The music mogul's sentencing is scheduled for October 3. The trailer of a documentary based on BTS has been released. The documentary Forever We Are Young shines the spotlight on the fandom that helped the K-pop group rise to global fame. The film celebrates the BTS Army's creativity and community and hits cinemas worldwide from July 30. Indian actor Deepika Padukone will receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She becomes the first Indian female actor to get this recognition. Padukone made her Hollywood debut in 2017 with the film XXX Return of Xander Cage. Alongside Padukone, actors like Miley Cyrus, Timothy Chalamet and Emily Blunt too will be honoured. An 18-year-old thief has been jailed in London after a crime spree that included snatching a phone from Bridgerton actor Genevieve Chen Yeo. The actor sustained a head injury during the struggle, forcing her to move out of London over fears for her safety. The thief has been sentenced to 22 months in prison. And finally, Netflix's Wednesday is back with new cast members, including Lady Gaga, and a 2-part release plan. Some original cast members exit, but fan favourites like Enid Sinclair, Tyler Galpin and Thing return for more mysteries at Nevermore Academy. Part 1 drops August 6, 2025, with Part 2 falling on September 3. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gushin Galan and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.